Honeybees have been fascinating, immediately, fascinating humans for thousands of years and have often been a popular subject of literature and art since cave paintings. Their food stores and products are so unique that humans have been robbing honeybee hives for access to food for so long that people eventually figured out how to keep them domestically. Aside from the food, they provide excellent pollination for many agricultural crops. They help growers produce an abundance of food by making sure there's adequate pollination. Great examples are the almonds and apples and cherries, and other trees and fruit shrubs that require honeybees really to be brought in because there's not enough native pollinators in the area. A short note about how wildflowers actually do really well in the presence of honeybees, and I'm not talking about just native, I'm talking about all wildflowers. Honeybees, they help good pollination whether or not it's an agricultural crop. Thus, pollinator-friendly plants should thrive in an area where honeybees are and where any pollinators are, just for the fact that those plants need pollination for reproduction. Honeybees do not pollinate all flowers, and a lot of plants are species specific in terms of what can pollinate them, but bees are kind of generalists, and it seems that a lot of the food we grow is able to be pollinated by honeybees, and thus it is usually done that way. Aside from the benefits of the honey, which I won't really go into, but if you have a question, please ask. The pollen is super nutritious. Wax, although it doesn't have great nutritional value, it has a lot of value in terms of products that we can produce not only for our bodies, but for machines that we use or to make candles, and the list goes on for industrial uses. The propolis is what the bees use to hold wood to wax. So when they're nesting inside a cavity of a tree, they put some propolis down to hold the wax to the wood. They also use it to seal up any cracks or vents, like to seal up the ventilation. They control the ventilation in their hive by adding or subtracting propolis at wherever the entrances are. So that's why it's called propolis. I say propolis because I'm a Montanan, but it's probably pronounced propolis, meaning before the house, or they usually put it at the entrance of the hive. Thus the Greeks named it that. So there's benefits for humans to consume propolis for different reasons. My dad always uses it to combat a cold. He'll grind some up in a coffee grinder and mix it with a spoonful of honey or his coffee, and he says it works for him. There's a lot of research being done right now on the benefits of propolis, royal jelly, which is a food substance to young bees, and then bee venom. So those kind of encompass the things we get from honeybees, and various beekeepers kind of decide based usually on those things why they're keeping bees. You can collect and harvest all of that, but most people usually just focus on the honey, sometimes the pollen. Usually the wax goes hand in hand with harvesting honey. There's a whole field of study called apitherapy, where people use all the products from a honeybee hive to help heal people, basically. I don't know a ton about that. I am always learning, but if you have any questions about it, feel free to ask.
What is propolis made from, or what's the process of?
It's usually a resinous substance collected from tree sap, so they can get it from all sorts of places, whether it's trees, shrubs, herbs, maybe even grasses. They, bees will collect anything that they see fit and that they think fits with what their need is. So bees will go out and collect asphalt and tar because it's a sticky substance, because it's in their environment. But in a natural setting, usually it's going to be like around here, the cottonwood buds, when they start budding, they produce this resinous substance. It's basically just tree sap, but they mix it with all sorts of things. I think it really depends on the hive and the environment, and so it could house mostly resin from a particular kind of tree or plant or shrub, or it could be a mixture of a bunch of them, or just whatever they get their hands on. It's basically their cement, yeah. I guess back in the day they used to mix that with straight pitch from the sap of a tree and mix those together. That was their cutler's glue, held metal to wood. So that's what they used to glue the handle of a knife to the metal part. So it's extremely sticky. So they use it to pretty much secure their whole house. Like they'll build little bridges of it if they need to stabilize something. But it's also so antimicrobial that they use it to fight off infections, and they will also use it to encase something they can't move out of their hive. Like if a lizard or a mouse comes into their hive and they end up killing it, but they can't drag it out because it's too heavy or where it's located, they will completely encase it in propolis to keep the rot on the other side of this pure barrier of propolis. So I've seen that many times.
How long do you think, just out of curiosity, how long do you think it would take them to create a barrier like that? Is it something that happens pretty quickly, or is it something that takes weeks?
Probably depends on the hive, the size of the hive, strength of colony. I would imagine they could probably do it in a day or two, but a smaller hive, or they just don't collect it enough, it might take weeks. I don't know. I'll have to do some experiments with that one.